Okay, I think that we're on live. It says meeting is now streaming live on YouTube. So hopefully this is not going to cut off the very beginning. So anyways, well, let's get started. So welcome to Mercury Wednesday with Breakthrough Astrology. And what I'm going to be doing on Wednesdays is I'm going to be covering questions that my group has and has posted for me to ask. And I'm also going to be covering the planets. And each and every Wednesday we'll get a little bit more in depth because it's not just the planets that I want to cover. I also want to cover the signs that they're in, and why they are exalted in some signs, why they're not exalted in other signs. So each planet will of course have more than one Wednesday that we'll be going through. Also, then I will eventually start covering the transits for one particular planet, and what is it doing, or how is it behaving, not just in the sign or the house, but also the nakshatra that it's in, or that it's transiting. So for every Wednesday, we'll get a little bit more in depth and a little bit more education for everybody who's out there studying astrology or wants to know how or why their planets are behaving the way they do in their charts, and also how are the transits actually affecting them um, personally, in regards to their own natal chart. So, okay, the first question that I'm going to cover today, and I'll just cover one question as the groups give them to me. Now, I'm not going to know every answer to every question, and if I don't know it, I'm going to tell you I don't know it, all right? But I will give you guys the best answer that I can through my experience and what I have learned in my education as an astrologer. So, the first question that I wanted to cover, and actually, this person had two questions, and I apologize. I'm not going to be able to pronounce your last name. I just don't want to butcher it that bad online. But it's from Farhan. And even though I want to try this last name, I don't think it's a good idea. So I'll just spell it out. It's B as in boy, Uyukisik. Now, Farhan has two different questions, and I'm going to um, address the first question today. And then on another episode or another Wednesday, I will get to the other question. But the first question was about rectification in Vedic. And the second question that I will address on the next Wednesday is the connections with astrology and the Hindu mythology. And these are both really, really, really good questions. So the first question, rectification in Vedic. You have to take several charts to do an actual um, um, rectification in Vedic astrology. You can't do it just off your D1. And I know that I've never professionally done a rectification, and I am not experienced in that. It takes a lot of hours, it takes a lot of concentration, and there's so much that goes into it. However, one of the things that you can do, and this won't give you an exact time, but it's going to at least, if you know enough about the person, if you study the ascendant signs, every ascendant sign goes through different life events. Things are come to them in such a different way. So, like a Virgo ascendant will not have the same life events as a Leo ascendant or a Capricorn ascendant or an Aries ascendant. Every one of these ascendants will be very, very different. So if you know how you lay out the ascendant signs, and how they will come out to play and form the events and the life of the individual, then at least you know what sign that they were born in. And that will give you a really darn um, good idea, or pretty close at least to the time that they were born. Now, carrying this a little bit further, also, if you don't have somebody's the exact date of their birth, or excuse me, not date, but time of their birth, use the moon as their lagna. And because the moon is exactly how we feel, it is our state of mind. And that any type of reading or prediction you want to do off the moon is going to be accurate also. So usually you go by the ascendant sign, but that's for something a little bit different than when you would go off the moon sign. But both of them work really, really, really well. So I would definitely advise that. And maybe when we're done with the planets, maybe on Mercury Wednesday, I will start diving into exactly the ascendant signs. And if you were born in Aries, if you were born a Leo, if you were born, Aquarius, then I can also kind of get in there and start sharing my knowledge on how that looks for each ascendant and what to look for, so that maybe that you guys can know is like, oh wait, just meeting somebody, wait a minute, that person's definitely a Leo ascendant, or that person's definitely acting like a Virgo ascendant. And it usually comes out in how they're kind of living their life in a physical, tangible way. So, anyways, maybe I will do that if you guys want after I get done doing the planets. So, today I wanted to start with the sun. And we all know the sun is a sattvic planet. And I'll just kind of pull up my notes here. So, now the sun rules the sign of Leo. And if we really look at Leo, we'll have a more understanding of who the sun is for us, how that sun plays out in our life. And I'm not going to get too much into the Leo. We could do that in another episode, but I just kind of want to drill down a little bit into the sun. So, as I said, the sun is a sattvic planet. So, being sattvic is a planet that is selfless. It gives without expecting anything in return. Okay. And I know that a lot of people get confused that we think the sun is our ego, and the sun is not our ego. It is where, especially if it's in really good dignity in our chart, it's where we have a lot of power, but it's a type of power that's humbling. And if it comes in contact with any type of planet, it purifies it. So if we think about the sun in the sky, the sun burns really hot, right? It's just sitting there and it's burning, and it's just giving us all this heat and all this energy. I mean, we have to have that sun in our life. But if it's too close to us, what happens? Or if we stay out in it too long, it burns us. And it's not that it's doing anything incorrect. We just need to be aware of how much sun that we're using in our life. And so it's kind of the same psychology of when a sun is burning or combusting one of our planets, it's purifying it, it's burning it, it's going to irritate it, it's not going to feel good. But that's what the sun does. It wants to just get in there and just purify it and clean it out. And it doesn't feel very good when it's doing it. So, also the sun, wants us to shine wherever he's at in our chart. And um, the sun can show where we can be very, very creative, and where we can be very humbled in our chart. So for instance, if sun is like in and I won't go into the next chakras, but if sun is in, let's say, Cancer, what it's going to do, it's going to be like boiling some water if you will. That sun is going to want that Cancer element of us to shine, but it's going to come in and purify it. Now, what's really good is that, Cancer is a Sophic sign, and the sun is Sophic. But the Cancer wants us to be in our emotions and be soft and gentle. But the sun, no, we want you to power, and it's just going to boil that water so it doesn't feel very comfortable in Cancer. So it's, as I said, it's like boiling the water, it's like creating steam. So you know Cancers can, a sun in Cancer is going to have great intentions, and it may, they may display maybe a little bit more emotions, but it's really going to want to act, because also the sun is all about action, and it's acting, it's extroverted, it's completely male energy. So when it comes into contact with a female energy, the female energy doesn't feel very good because it wants to be more receptive. So it's more taking in what the sun, burning, and we're really feeling it. It doesn't feel very good, and it can bring events in our life that doesn't feel very well. So let's see here. So it's all about being in harmony, and it's a spiritual planet also, but it's about sacrificing, right? Teaching, love, knowledge, and peace, and righteousness, and intelligence. And this is what the sun is all about. So look at where your sun's at and where the dignity is at. That's really where the sun wants you to work on. If it's not in good dignity, it doesn't mean that we don't have that empowerment there. We do, we just don't realize it. And the sun's wanting us to bring it out into the light, and for us to step forward in that area, and we'll end up being very humbled when we do. But a lot of times when it's in bad dignity, we're just not realizing it's there. We don't realize that we have that creativity and those gifts, and we kind of hide it away from the world, and we don't want it to shine. So it really brings about events that can demean us, if you will, because we're not taking the action to step forward in our empowerment. So, and I will use mine as an example. My son, now it's in Virgo, and so it's not an exalted sun by any means. And so I really never came out in my empowerment until later in life, until I learned. And it's also burning up my Venus. And so I was never confident in what I was doing. I didn't have that confidence. Not that I wasn't capable of doing it, um, but I didn't want to show the empowerment. The empowerment felt very uncomfortable to me. I was just trying to, throughout my career and even my relationships, to satisfy the other person. So without me coming into my empowerment and understanding I have this knowledge, I have this knowing, I caused myself a lot of hardships. And now, that I went through those lessons, and boy, the sun sure did purify my Venus and my first house. Now I'm coming out, and you know what? I am confident. I know what I'm talking about. Maybe a lot of other people don't. And I'm starting now to take my own advice and my own, making my own decisions and pushing away other people's opinions. So that's your empowerment. It's not that I'm better than anybody else, but they don't know what's best for me and in my life. So that's just kind of how the sun has acted as a purification agent in my life. So just kind of look and see where your sun is at. Now, I tell you what, the sun, especially when it's connected with your 10th house or your career planet, these are our politicians, our managers, military, lawyers, CEOs, the warrior mentality, of every individual. So, They may have difficulties in relationships because a successful relationship will water down one's individuality. And so I really want to get a little bit into that, into why the sun is debilitated in Libra and why the sun is exalted in Aries. This will give you guys a really good indication how the sun really works. And this is will be able to allow you guys to look at any position of the sun and kind of embody it a little bit more and have that really good understanding. Oh, that's why, or this is how the sun really is going to act in this house and or planet, or excuse me, or sign. So the sun, when it's in a Tomasic sign, it's going to really be all about physical fitness, physical power, more of a square body. So look at the signs where the sun is at. If it's in a Rajastic sign, it's more going to be of that fatherly power, that career power, that worldly power, because it's going to want to move Rajastically in that type of way. Now, if it's in a Sattvic sign, and I was just discussing Cancer a little bit earlier. Now we're talking about the truth seekers, right? The anchoring process of the sun is coming from the Tamastic to the Rajastic to the Sattvic sign, all about seeking the truth. And that inner wisdom. And I think that's really, really important. Now, I tell you what, the other planet that's a huge truth seeker also is Jupiter, by the way, and it's a Sattvic planet, but we'll get into Jupiter on another episode. So why is it debilitated in Libra? Well, if we really think about it, and we can look at this as for Libra risings even, that we have, when we're Libra or we're dealing with a Libra, we're dealing with somebody who is all about other people. And one of the things that the sun wants is, the sun wants you to concentrate on yourself, define yourself. But in Libra, we're defining ourselves by other people. So it's always about others. And that's why the sun doesn't feel good in Libra, because the individual is ignoring him or their oneself, and they're only paying attention to other people and defining themselves by other people. So they don't live themselves by their own opinions or their own thoughts. They have to ask somebody else how to live, and they're always doing what somebody else wants them to do. And I tell you what, with the sun conjuncting with Venus, that same thing happens, by the way. So just maybe in a little bit different way, but the same theme of it really does happen. I promise you, I got personal experience with that. And so why is the sun exalted in Aries? Because Aries is that little child who is really, really innocent. It's the first zodiac sign, and it's that 3-year-old who is defining himself. He does not want to be told what to do. He does not care about what's happening, or how somebody else wants something done. That child, that 3-year-old, is just wants to do it his way or her way, and go forth and live life large. And they're not conceited. A 3-year-old, you don't see a conceited 3-year-old. You see a 3-year-old who's bright, who knows their own will, who's going out and trying things innocently and just going and doing, and so proud of themselves when they're able to walk, even like maybe a 1-year-old walk from one table to the next or to the couch or what have you. So that's why the sun does so well in Aries, because we are listening to ourselves, we're defining ourselves. It's not necessarily that we're conceited, but we are not letting other people's opinions define who we are or decide how we think. We think for ourselves in Aries, okay? And we're always trying new things. And we are humbled as a toddler going out and doing things. We don't get discouraged when we fall down or slip or don't do something right. We just try it again and we just keep on doing it. And we have that sense of humbleness, but pride within ourselves, a good pride, not a conceited pride, that we're doing something for the first time and new, and we're in our own empowerment. That's why it does so well in Aries. So now, again, going a little backtracking back into Leo, the lion. It's a four-footed living in the woods, front rising eastern, large limb, violent, vigorous during the day, fire expressed in fixed form. Of course, I know everybody knows that who's listening to this line. But with that being said, though, what does it really, really mean? You know, the sun rises in the eastern, right? And Leo is a very kind of an animalistic type of planet. So it's really about being that warrior, being able to fight, being that strong, large limb can get violent, like, hey, no, you can't do that to me. Because we do need to protect ourselves. We need to be able to fight for ourselves and fight for our children and fight for our young ones and fight for our values. That's necessary. And so when our sun's not working really well in our chart, we have a tendency to let people run us over. We don't come forth in our empowerment, you know. And I said it's not an egotistical type of empowerment, um but we are not shining forth, this is who I am, and no, you cannot step, you know, over my boundaries. This is who I am, this is why I am, and standing in that empowerment and going forth and shining shining to the whole world who you are. Also, you know, the sun likes to, or Leo likes to tackle life responsibilities with charisma and power, inspire and being consistent. This is what the sun does. The sun likes to be consistent. It's the ruler over Leo because Leo is a fixed sign. It stays. It's consistent. It's very inspiring. It's very empowering. It's got charisma. So any planet that goes in the sign of Leo is going to really shine forth in this type of um, way. That planet wants to be charismatic. That planet is empowered. That planet, is going to feel good. It's going to be inspirational for us, and it'll be consistent. So look and see if you have any planets in Leo. So let me see anything else I want to cover today. I want to keep it to 30 minutes. So in Aries, of course, we define ourselves, self, others, decisive action and courage. That's really important. With the sun being in Aries, so you guys know the sun likes decisive action and it likes to be courageous. All right. Um, so let's see here. The ability to sacrifice the lower forms of ego to the higher forms of self and truth are being learned. And I think that's the last note where I want to keep this at. But the ability to sacrifice the lower forms of ego to the higher forms of self and truth are being learned. And, you know, with Leo, think about it this way. The father, if he's a good father, gives, and his that which means the son is in good dignity, and maybe even exalted, but the son is in good form. He gives and gives and gives to the children, not asking anything. He goes out and he sacrifices every day to go work so he can pay the bills and feed the children and be able to provide that home and all the needs and even the wants that the children want without any complaint, without asking anything from the children, no matter who the children or what the children act like, who the children are. This is what a really, really good father does. And they're humbled to be able to do this. There's no regret or sorrow with it, or look what I'm doing for you, what are you doing for me type of attitude. It just is, it just gives. And again, it empowers. He feels, and I apologize. My internet just went out, so I'm going to be closing this up here in just a few moments. So let me just kind of repeat that. It just is what it is. I'm sorry, we're having internet problems. So again, the sun is like the father in our charts, and he is all about really just giving to the children without receiving anything in return. And he's empowering the children, and he feels empowered and he feels humbled to be able to serve the children in this way. He just does it. He doesn't complain. He doesn't have any bad will, or say, well, I'm giving you this and I'm doing this for you, what are you doing for me? So that's when the sun's not in good dignity in our charts. So this is all really about us doing something and giving and giving and giving and just shining without asking for anything in return. Okay, this is all extroverted energy. It's all about just going and just doing. It wants to act, um, and um, and again, not asking for anything, you guys, at all in return, and being humbled that we can do whatever we're going to be doing at that particular spot in our chart. Okay, so I'm going to leave you guys on that now. If you guys want any questions asked about the sun in particular, drop me a message, and let me know, and I will answer that on the next Wednesday that I'm on live. So you guys have a beautiful week, and I will see you Friday for our Venus Friday. And I love Venus Friday. That's where I really kind of put my hair down and cut loose a little bit and kind of wrap up our work week with a little bit of fun and love and kindness. So you guys, I will see you next Wednesday, excuse me. Namaste.